WEFUNK. We funk.
So the movie Timing just came out, like we were saying, on Amazon Prime. It stars Mike Cannon and Gracie Carley, and it was written, directed by Alex Anderson, old friends of Liam's from Stand Up, and I guess his first directorial debut, and on Prime right now. And we both watched the movie. We really liked it, and we actually get to sit down with Alex on this episode and talk to him about the movie and comedy, open mics, all sorts of stuff.
All that good stuff. Catching up with Alex, like Devin said, about his movie and much more. And I guess with that, we will welcome to the show our good friend and the writer, director, as well as asshole sidekick in the feature film Timing, which is out now on Amazon Prime, exclusively on Amazon Prime. But let's give it up for our main man, Alex Anderson. Welcome to the stage. That was a very strip club entrance that I gave you. Welcome to the stage, Alex Anderson. But so what's going on, buddy? How's the week been? Fresh feature film released on Monday? So just a couple days ago.
Yeah.
How's it been? Crazy week for you or what?
It kind of has been, to tell you the truth, because it's been people have really been responding to the movie. And a lot of people reaching out saying they loved it. And I think it's kind of a surprise. People are kind of surprised that they actually kind of like it.
Yeah, that is something that you happen when you get some feedback. Like, dude, it was not bad. I got to be honest. Like, actually, I listened to your podcast and I made it through. Like, first 35 minutes, dude. It was amazing.
I'll say that I watched it this morning, and I knew I was going to like it just because of I saw the trailer for it and saw the resounding review from the Geeked Up Podcast.
Yeah, yes. Devin's half responsible for the... he's contractually obligated to claim that he loves it anyway, but...
Listen, half the views, I think, are just... You got to at least check it out after that resounding review. You know?
I mean, if you haven't seen the trailer, but I've proclaimed it best movie about stand-up of all time.
And Liam, I guess it's worth...
Coming out strong, by the way. I like how that's how you open the trailer, with the most bodacious statement of all time by me. Are they going to sneak that one in there kind of after a hilarious canon line or something like?
I think it's worth pointing out too that if you have seen that trailer, it was us. It was this Geeked Up Podcast. And
yes, that's true.
Is there another Geeked Up Podcast?
Another Geeked Up Podcast has emerged.
People dabble around.
Wow. That is funny. You are the Geeked Up Podcast.
Exactly. Quite literally, the Geeked Up. They're just Geeked Up Podcast, unless you go to the website, because they're thegeekedupwebsite.com. But we cover all of that.
They got the .com?
They got the .com. You snooze, you lose. I didn't get on the Tony Bergman show until recently. I didn't fucking learn. We'll get into Alex's podcasting and the movie even a little bit later. I guess quickly we'll catch up because Devin and you are just kind of meeting now on the show. Me and Alex are old friends, though, from the stand-up world, kind of in which this movie takes place, as well in the moving the professional mover world in which this movie takes place. And then as well, I guess, we had another...
I forgot.
What's up?
I forgot the professional moving.
Yeah, like the opening scene is... that's really the most nostalgic part, was from our moving days. But I guess another hilarious failed venture that me and you had, which I guess relates to the movie, but me and you actually had a writing project at once before you finished off the movie. Remember our writing project where we literally put out like 4 New York City restaurants out of business by trying to...
Yes.
Devin, me and Alex were trying to do a writing project, and like every time we would agree to meet on because first of all, I lived in Jersey City, he lived in Brooklyn, so it was like we had to meet at a random location in New York. He didn't want to do a bar because we'd have to drink. I didn't want to do a restaurant because it'd be too noisy. So it was like a very Seinfeldian disaster. And then we literally settled on a location, and it went out of business 3 different times. Like an 80-year-old diner fucking went out. Like a Greek family had run the place since the 30s. Me and you fucking do one writing project there, and like, all right, you know what? We don't want to subject the clientele to any more brainstorming.
Time it was like, you know what? The gods have spoken.
Dude, A Qdoba went out of business, like a multi-million-dollar chain that had been there for years.
That was the final straw. We're like, all right, dude, like the cheesesteak place, I get it. A flimsy diner, heart of the community for almost a century, whatever. A Qdoba will never fail.
Oh my god,
that Qdoba is literally still, by the way, not. It's like a vacant lot on West 4th Street. We've ruined that piece of property for. But I guess you eventually did get the writing off, as you wrote, as well as directed and featured in the movie, as well as we'll get into. But I guess to kind of talk a little, to open up and want to, I guess, just tell people what the movie's about, or give people a rundown. Give us your sales job here.
Yeah. So, I mean, the initial impetus was I wanted to find a world that hadn't been explored, because I heard Brian Koppelman, the Rounders guy, that was the guy who wrote Rounders.
Okay.
He's like, yeah, I wanted to show people a world that they hadn't seen.
Interesting.
And I at that time I was like, I don't think they had really seen the early up and cut. I hadn't seen like the before the guy's funny.
Yeah, for sure.
Told in a movie and that journey. So I was like, all right, well, that's an interesting world.
Okay, that's interesting, because you were obviously at that point, like I just alluded to, me and Alex did stand-up comedy in New York for a long time together,
yes.
So it was not even necessarily out of the inspiration of like your love and dedication of stand-up as much as it was like trying to just get a cool angle on a movie in a world that you knew about and hadn't really been explored.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, that people don't understand what a hellish, grueling journey that is.
For sure. And Devin can attest to. Devin's he's been in the world as well. He actually moved up here to do comedy.
I moved up here to do comedy. I had my year one moment. I was coming hot off the trails of leaving Florida. I opened up for Mark Skippy Price. And I was like, from New York now, baby. I'm gonna do that.
It's time for the big time. I just crushed on a Mark Skippy.
Fucking asshole, still going by his name from Family Ties. He like it's
it was hilarious.
Mark Skippy Green Price. He was
no way, Skippy from Family Ties. I thought it was some like hilarious Floridian. I mean, Skippy's probably a pretty popular name down in Florida. Let's be honest.
Yeah, there's a lot of comics called Skippy.
A lot of Skippies down there.
A lot of Skippy.
But I guess that is kind of one of the reasons, though, where I do totally stand by my very bodacious quote to kick off Alex's trailer for the movie timing. But just when you look at other stand-up projects, I guess we can kind of talk Crashing had kind of come out a little bit after, like parallel, but it's a very parallel world and thing that's going on. But up until then, really all of the stand-up comedy movies had been more like biopics or like glamorized, kind of, like even Funny People is kind of more about the established star. And other than that, like just a lot of bad stand-up movies as well.
I would say that Funny People is like pretty fake and far out there. Crashing is like, again, pretty lame, except for the fact that at least in the first episode, Todd Mondesi does get a cameo in the first episode.
That's true. They're using the real New York City up-and-coming comics for the...
Don't think the Barry Ribs cameo went unnoticed for me in the bar, the restaurant bar.
I just
is that Barry Ribs back there?
I just added, the best part is he just was at that comedy show. He was just hanging out.
He was literally eating dinner at this thing.
He was there, and he just happened to be there. And I actually
tracks.
and you know what? I actually overlooked that. But listen, that's a speaking role. I actually added him to IMDb today.
No way.
He was uncredited.
Big update, because last time we talked, he was uncredited. And no disrespect to some of the great performances, but I think my hardest laugh of the movie was when Barry Ribs demanded the waiter come over. Waiter! Get over here. It's like Barry Ribs is really going all out into this role, fucking yelling at a random...
Listen, it was a massive oversight on my part to not include Barry Ribs,
Yeah, for sure. We'll get into some of the other I guess we can get into the cast a little bit now because really you got a lot of really, really talented comedians and great performers to be to take part in this movie, man. It's a real like star-studded cast on like the aspiring indie comedian level in a lot of ways. But I guess the big star, of course, is Mike Cannon, and I guess the romantic lead, Grace Carley. They're kind of the big stars.
Gracie Carly.
Yeah,
Gracie Carly.
Right.
Yeah, Gracie
Nice.
Carly. Yeah.
Okay, nice. She sounds kind of like a fucking super villain with like a rhymey kind of name like that. I like
It's
it.
a great name.
Gracie
Yep.
Carly. That's but they do a great job. Great chemistry, on-screen chemistry. What was it like finding? You really struck gold with like because your movie really depends, especially around Canon. But your movie kind of really depends around them. Want to talk a little bit about their performances?
Yeah. I mean, 100%. So I knew Mike could do it because he had done this short film that Kyle Fincham had shot, and he was good. It was dramatic. He was good in it, and obviously he was a funny comic. So I knew he could do both. And then he actually recommended Gracie, and then
Interesting.
yeah. And to be honest, we shot so much stuff because I didn't know what I was doing. You know, I just did it, and we shot. Also, like, I was kind of nervous for Mike to see the movie because I ended up taking out so much funny stuff that we shot and ramping up the love story to an 11.
Okay,
And, you know, and I was nervous because he had made something that was probably more of a comedy, and then this definitely has comedy in it, but it ended up being like a love.
I mean, it's a little rom-com, which I guess we can get into Alex Anderson's deep love of the rom-com, as they've always broken your balls about.
Like I said, I watched it this morning. I knew it was a film about comedy, but realizing that it was like a lot of it was about the romantic interest in it. But dude, totally had me. Like Gracie Carly, she was amazing in it, man. Like,
Thank you. She was great.
Like,
she was great.
top on like leading lady, like Mike Cannon also. Like I was definitely invested in the two of them.
For sure.
There was little funny things too. The scene where, and forgive me, I don't have their names written down, but I think it was his roommate and his roommate's girlfriend, where they just wake him up where they're howling in the kitchen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Literally, like, watching this movie by myself and like laughing out loud. I was like, dude, that's such like a true.
No, and to be honest, so getting it to be an actual movie, they did like 10 scenes, those two, that were so freaking funny. They were an improv couple. So they were like, he was living with improvisers. And they were doing all this kooky stuff. Brian, the guy, I got to put it out on YouTube because no joke, it's one of the best pieces of acting I've ever seen. So you know the scene where they're kind of having a fight in the kitchen?
Yep.
Yeah.
He interrupts that and it's like, hey guys, you said you would watch my my characters for my sketch audition. And he does this audition of like, it's so effing good. And I had to cut it because it wasn't working in the movie. You know?
Okay,
And
interesting.
It was like until I did a brutal cut, like the thing wasn't working. So I had to just do
that
this.
Sounds
like,
good though, for definite, especially in this day and age of endless content. People are going to want to see some of that, especially for Canon, because, like I said, no disrespect for Gracie Carly, who really does an amazing job, and the whole, romance, and really in its essence, the movie, like I talked about, Alex, but it's really kind of about the juggling act that a comedian has to go through in order to like achieve their, to go through the beginning phases. It's impossible 100%. To do anything else in life, and so it's super important to have like a believable couple, and Gracie did a great job. But Canon as well had the double threat, because doing all of the great stand-up as well, you needed to find somebody that was like an actual working, not like a Jonah Hill pretending to be a comic, but like Canon's a great comic that then was able to.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, look.
You probably have enough to like film a special for him. You know what I mean?
Did you use Jonah Hill as your example of hilarious son of a bitch, but can do it?
Well, no, I just mean like a comic that like
huge Jonah Hill fan. This isn't the first time it's
No, but I mean, just like as a recent guy that had to play a comedian that wasn't necessarily a comedian. You know what I mean? Like part of this movie was for the comedy was such a big aspect that he needed to do both.
Listen, Mike is a rare talent to be able to do, to be able to be as funny as he is, and to do the drama of that level. I mean, look, there's not many people who can do it to that level. And yeah, I listen, Jonah Hill's actually a pretty good comparison.
In your face, Devin.
Yeah, I know.
Listen, there's not.
You guys know each other from the old days.
Look,
but I'm standing by it. Fuck you.
I mean, it was better. I didn't name drop Tom Hanks for fuck's sake, who I very well could have from Punchline. By the way, just to get into bad comedy movies real quick, we'll get back into timing, but I can't go any further without bringing up. Remember the horrible De Niro comedy movie? Not King of Comedy, but the De Niro Billy Crystal. Yes, dude. Was that not one of the worst fucking movies of all time? Just
where
side
Leslie
note.
Mann falls in love with him. I used to be. I think that movie ends. Cause I've actually seen that movie. I think it ends with him like doing a show in the nursing home. I was like, still got it.
Yeah, that is the end. But I had to get that in there. Back to Cannon and Gracie. They were great. Way better than De Niro and Crystal, who I guess are other people like.
Look, they carry the movie.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was honestly like a Daniel Day-Lewisian performance for the amount, like, scene ratio for Cannon.
I mean, honestly, like I said, like I watched this morning. I knew it was a comedy movie. I didn't know it was going to have that thing. And then loved it, by the way. Like, the whole relationship stuff.
Devin, as well, is a little bit of a rom-com guy as well.
No,
we
sure.
can.
Been with the same girl for a long time, and we've had like literally like conversations that were from that movie. I was like, dude, I remember that conversation. I also had the realization. I told Liam later on that like I watched the movie. I watched it this morning like 9 a.m. It was probably like 11 when I got done. I smoked a bowl, and I was like, timing had two different meanings. The timing of their relationship. Like what I do with comedy.
Comedic timing.
And then I was like, the timing was. I think I was explaining it to my girlfriend. I was like, and their whole timing. I was like, hold on a second. I gotta write that down.
Yeah. I can't. I'm doing a podcast later. This is the gold right here.
The best too is someone literally like 2 months before we released this added a short film called Timing to Amazon, and they're beating us in the Amazon like.
Oh,
it's
they geeked up podcast you.
They geeked up podcast.
Bet you're on the Reeked Up Boys, huh?
Yeah,
oh
exactly.
my gosh.
Well, I got a feeling yours is going to end up blowing him out of the water.
I just want to address what he said is that no, I think you're completely right, man. Listen, that is anyone who's chased a goal. They've had that. They can relate to that feeling of having those conversations in a relationship, and it is a difficult balance, it really is. And whether it's like, and it doesn't matter if it's comedy or you're starting a business or whatever it is.
Yeah.
No, I mean, a lot of this movie like definitely felt like, and I think the quote does, the Geeked Up Podcast quote at the beginning of the trailer really does hold weight because there was so much stuff that like, and again, I've seen a lot of these stand-up movies and like, I think this one like really hit. I don't know if it's like it being in New York, but like a lot of it was really like, dude, this is kind of like what it's like. Like,
now, do you need to be an ex-Barker aspiring comedian to relate to it? I don't know. Time will tell, but me and Devin definitely sold.
WEFUNK. We funk.